Have you ever stopped to think about what the most powerful force in all of human history really is? Is it an army? An empire? Well, what if it's something simpler? What if it's just a single, powerful idea? We're about to see how simple thoughts have, again and again, completely reshaped our world.
So what do you think? Is it conquest? Maybe technology? Natural resources? Those are all huge contenders for sure. But there's another force at play here, something way more fundamental that actually drives all the others.
That's right, an idea. And we're going to trace the incredible story of human consciousness through what we're calling great leaps. These are the pivotal moments when a totally new way of thinking didn't just change a few minds, it changed the very fabric of reality itself.
So where do we even begin? Well, our story doesn't start with some big bang. It starts with something much quieter. The rustle of a seed being planted and the first whispers of a shared language. These were the revolutionary ideas that laid the absolute foundation for civilization.
I mean, just try to wrap your head around the sheer scale of this change. For thousands and thousands of years, humanity was always on the move, and our population was kept in check by that nomadic life. But then the idea of agriculture, of farming, sparked this radical shift to staying in one place. And this wasn't just about food. It led to a population boom and the invention of concepts we totally take for granted now. The idea of a permanent home, of private property, of planning for a future you can't even see yet.
And right around the same time, another incredible idea was shaping our social world: language. Linguists actually have this theory about an ancient ancestor language they call Nestratic. And get this, today, a staggering 4 billion of us, that's billion with a B, speak one of its descendants. The ability to create shared meaning with symbols is what allowed us to build complex societies where before there was basically nothing.
Okay, so the foundations of civilization are laid. Our next great leap takes us from looking at the ground beneath our feet to looking up at the heavens. For the very first time, humanity looked up and saw not total chaos, but order.
This quote from Schrödinger just captures it perfectly. You have to understand, before the ancient Greeks, the world was seen as this chaotic playground for unpredictable gods. Things happened because of passion and revenge. But the Greeks proposed something absolutely revolutionary: that the universe was a system, that it had rules, and, here's the kicker, that we could actually figure those rules out using reason.
And from that one single idea, the Greeks basically handed us the foundational toolkit for all of Western thought. It's a toolkit we are still using today. They gave us philosophy to search for truth, tragedy to explore our own inner conflicts, and science to understand natural law. Even their art, which they called ideal realism, was a whole concept in itself. The idea that a perfect body reflected a virtuous, ordered mind, like a small mirror of the ordered cosmos.
All right, so after centuries of looking outward to try and understand the cosmos, the next great leap was a complete 180. It was a turn inward, a journey to discover the universe that exists inside the human mind.
And this wasn't just about painting and sculpture, it was a full-blown psychological revolution. The Renaissance introduced this new ideal called virtue. It was this belief in the power of the individual, someone who relied on their own smarts, their own skills, their own hustle to succeed. This was a massive shift away from the medieval idea that your destiny was sealed by your family or by tradition. Suddenly, human potential was at the center of everything.
And you can literally see how this new idea started to reshape society. Artists went from being simple craftsmen to being professionals, even entrepreneurs. Time itself changed. It used to be measured by calls to prayer, but now it was measured by clocks and seen as this precious resource you had to manage. And the ultimate goal? To become the universal man, an individual who could master art, science, math, everything through sheer force of will.
So, you've got this new, confident individual who's focused on self-improvement. But they don't stop there. The next great leap is when this same spirit of inquiry gets turned on the world itself. Humanity began to systematically question everything, and in doing so, revealed these unseen forces that govern both nature and ourselves.
Now, it's really important to get this. The Enlightenment wasn't like flipping a switch from belief to disbelief. Not at all. It was a gradual, step-by-step journey of doubt. Thinkers started by trying to rationalize the supernatural. Then they moved to this idea of a distant, clockmaker god. Then to outright skepticism. And finally, for some, to atheism. It was this slow, methodical replacement of religious authority with scientific inquiry.
But right in the middle of all this science looking out at the stars, you get thinkers like Vico, who come along with this stunning counterargument.
He basically said, sure, the physical world is out there, but the world of cultures and nations, we made that. He argued that the truest knowledge isn't about nature, but about the world we ourselves have created. The greatest truths, he suggested, aren't out there in the cosmos, but in here, inside our own mind.
And that idea from Vico, that the most profound truths are actually within us, perfectly sets the stage for our final great leap, the attempt to apply the full rigor of science to that last unexplored territory, the inner self.
Enter Sigmund Freud. He came along and proposed what he saw as a scientific map for the mind. He argued that our actions, our thoughts, our entire sense of who we are, were being driven by this powerful unconscious, a hidden reservoir of deep-seated urges and memories that we can't directly see or control. Now, this new map of the mind was a huge deal. It promised to finally give us a scientific, almost biological understanding of our deepest inner life. But Freud didn't just invent this stuff out of thin air. He was building on a long philosophical history of the divided self, and his methods were, and still are, super controversial. Critics argue that he basically imposed his theories on his patients rather than discovering them. It remains one of the most debated intellectual legacies of the modern era.
So, from the very first symbol scratched into stone all the way to the deep structures of the unconscious mind, we've seen how these incredibly powerful ideas have literally built the world we all live in. They've given us our homes, our gods, our sense of self, and our understanding of the entire universe. And all of that leaves us with the ultimate question: what comes next?